My people wonder they say shall never end. According to the information reaching us right now, allegedly they said Oletik have exposed more secret of gospel. They say gospel called her a frustrated mama, and that is why she have decided to open gospel's nyash very wide. Remember that gospel have been going around having meetings upon meetings against the king, calling the king out over the fact that Ebony's secret was not Ebony, gospel secret was exposed. Igbi made a confession that implicated both gospel and Ebony, how they arranged with one man like that, who is a native doctor, to do something against the jewel and all of that. So when Igbi made that confession, and the person that she confessed to told the king about it, they said the king became so angry, such that he banned gospel from entering his chambers. And gospel said there is no how um she's going to keep quiet over it, because a lot of people are expecting her to have children for the royal family. Then there was a day they said, okay, they said gospel now intervened, saying that gospel Oletik intervened, sorry, saying that gospel is supposed to take responsibility for her actions. And if the king said that her punishment for being involved in what happened in December is her not going to the king's chamber, that she should accept it in good faith. That was how they said gospel started calling Oletik names, started blasting Oletik, calling Oletik selfish, that Oletik is happy that she doesn't have a child. And that is why most opportunities that gospel will have to spend the time with the king, Oletik will mess it up. And this is happening because of what happened some time ago. They said during that period that the king celebrated his 51-year birthday, the king had booked an appointment to meet with the gospel that night, but they said Oletik messed it up by taking her twins to the king that day. They said when Oletik saw the king and the gospel discussing that gospel should come and see him at night, Oletik, around that period that gospel is supposed to go, Oletik decided to go few minutes before that time, and she went there with the kids, and they said the king and the kids, they played all through. It was almost around 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. when Oletik decided to take the children back to her quarters. And they said gospel have waited and waited and waited, and she became so angry, you know. Then by that time that Oletik left with the children, the king have told gospel that he is tired, he needs to rest. So gospel and the king did not meet again, and then that day they said Oletik and the gospel, they turned the palace upside down. So Oletik, gospel is still angry towards Oletik for that and for other things that they said she have been doing, saying that she is mocking her, that Oletik is mocking her as a mocking gospel because she doesn't have a child for the king. So now that this issue of the king banning gospel from coming to his chamber came up, and the same Oletik is telling gospel to take responsibility for her actions and obey the instruction, which is to stop going to the king's chamber. They said gospel started calling her selfish and frustrated mama, that she is frustrated. That is why she doesn't like to mingle with other wives. That whenever she is out there, she will just be being like someone that is withdrawn. That she is frustrated because what she expected from the king, she's not getting it. And that was why how they said Oletik told her that look, that she is still better than gospel. Yes, that maybe when she came back from the palace, the king was not calling her as usual. But right now, at least she is better, because once in a while, that the king will still remember her and call her to the chamber. Why gospel, the king will not call her? How is she going to have her own baby? You know, that kind of stuff. That was how they said these two, they started calling themselves name. And at this point, Oletik decided to tell gospel that she knew a lot of things about her. Because according to the information, they said, you know that they have their personal servants. They said on one of the occasions, gospel servants have been exposing some of gospel secrets to Oletik's servant. And maybe Oletik is good to her servant, for her servant to be telling her most of the things that gospel servant told her in confidence. And one of them is that time that they said something was buried, a pot was buried in the Lekki mansion. I don't know if you guys remember. There was a day they said gospel went to pass the night in that place, you know. And that day, it was the next day that they find out that a particular, the next day, a few days later, they find out that the particular pot was buried there. I think it was one of the seers who said that. And now, as a maiden that is serving directly under a gospel, told Oletik maiden that it was gospel who buried that pot there, and even told her the people that helped gospel to bury the pot in the Lekki mansion. And if you guys remember, during that time, Oletik gospel was acting as a good person, you know, making the king believe that, oh, I support your move, I support your movement to bring back your wife and all of that, not knowing that gospel is just a Olori Two-Face. You know, she will come to the king and make the king think that, oh, I am with you. Meanwhile, she is not with the king. You know, sometimes she will get closer to get information from the king and then go and leak it to Igbi and Blow Blow, because at that time, Blow Blow is still working closely with Igbi against the jewel. Then using gospel as someone that will be getting information from the king, because then the king thought it was just Blow Blow and Igbi and the Ebony that is fighting against the king, against the jewel's return. He did not know that the gospel that he trusted is just Two-Face Queen. She will come to the king and get information and will go and leak the information to those people that the king think that they are the only ones on it. So then they said it was how Oletik got to find out that gospel have been the one, or is the one that buried that pot there. That was how they said she opened her mouth wide. They say many servants were there listening when they were quarreling. And they said Oletik was telling everyone who cares to know that gospel is not who they think that she is. That she have once buried a pot in the palace and the Lekki mansion and all of that. And that was how they said the two of them started calling themselves name. They said gospel told her that you are frustrated, that this one called her as in different kinds of names. That is what we are hearing if the information is true. I want to remind you that these are all alleged unverified information making rounds on social media and shouldn't be seen as fact unless you verify them. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Love you.